You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, November 19th, 2020. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We have a lot of news to cover today, and Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. So we're going to do news for hour number one of the show, and then sometime around the transition to hour two, we will open up those phone lines and let you call on in with your comments, questions, and observations, and hopefully a little kind of respect for, the other callers. And, we need to tap down the name calling and all that kind of inter-rivalry bickering that's going on here. Now, one of the callers we had yesterday made the claim that the United States Supreme Court had basically annulled the presidential election in all 50 states due to the massive election fraud. And I was skeptical. And so they sent me a link to the video podcast which ran the story. And in listening to the video podcast, it turns out they're talking about a case that happened back in 1897, United States versus Throckmorton. Can you imagine growing up with that kind of a name? And it did actually happen. Now, obviously, this is ancient history. Well, not ancient history, but it's history. But it does establish that the Supreme Court does have a precedent for declaring a presidential election null and void. And it's something that we all need to keep in mind as these legal proceedings continue on their inevitable march towards the Supreme Court. Now, Rudy Giuliani had a press conference earlier today, and he said a lot of different things about all the fraud going on. And one of the things that he said is he is demanding that 682,000 mail-in ballots be thrown out due to fraud. And again, there's just so much fraud with those mail-in ballots. And Trump called it. He said this mail-in ballot thing is wide open to fraud. It is. It's always been the weakest part, the least secure part of our elections. As I mentioned earlier, when Abraham Lincoln ran for re-election, he was the victim of mail-in ballot fraud. It obviously did not work. He won that election. Now, over at One American News Network, apparently somehow, somewhere, they're getting the data from the SkyTel servers in Germany. The story that the Army seized them is still being denied. It's been replaced with an alternative story that the U.S. Army seized servers from a CIA station located near there. But according to One American News Network, the data recovered from those servers give President Trump 410 electoral votes. That is the scale of the election fraud that we have seen here in 2020. Now, we've been talking about Wayne County, and it was kind of a weird story where initially the canvassing board, 4 members, were in a deadlock, 2 versus 2 tie along party lines regarding certification of Wayne County, which includes Detroit. It's the largest county in the state. And then all of a sudden, the GOP canvassers changed their mind and voted to certify. Well, now they have withdrawn that vote for certification, and saying basically they filed affidavits saying that they were harassed, they were threatened. In one case, their children were being threatened. This is the thugocracy in full view of America. And so they're rescinding their votes. And so basically at Wayne County, that election remains uncertified over the issue of the fact that the number of votes cast and the number of signatures on those voter registers do not line up by quite a wide margin. Now, the Trump campaign had started a lawsuit in Michigan regarding Wayne County with the GOP canvassers rescinding their votes to certify. They have now dropped that Michigan ballot lawsuit. And the corporate media, as to be expected, took the dropping of the Michigan ballot lawsuit and trumpeted it as proof that Trump's legal challenges are failing. But they basically withdrew the lawsuit because the Wayne County election is still not certified, and there are serious questions of its accuracy. All righty. And again, getting on back to the fact that these people were being threatened, their children were being threatened. I mean, even the mafia doesn't threaten the children. You know, the family is left alone. But apparently, according to an article in the New York Post, Philadelphia lawyer Linda Kearns has been the subject of threats of bodily harm. And we now have the police and the U.S. Marshals are providing security for her. So this is getting really serious out there. You know, there's just this threat of violence. And like I said yesterday, I'm expecting some real wet work to start happening in the next couple of weeks. There is a Democratic observer to the Georgia ballot recount has filed a sworn affidavit in a lawsuit challenging the legitimacy of the process. And one of the things that is coming out of the recount is that the recount people are claiming they were ordered to simply provide the original vote counts as the recount numbers so that they would all match up except for those found flash drives with uncounted votes. Which shaved off Biden's lead, but they're going to have, if they've not already had the official announcement, that the Georgia recount still finds for Biden, but already the recount has come into question. You know, if you're going to steal an election, you got to steal the recount as well. Over in Las Vegas, no big surprise, they have problems with election security and voter fraud. And part of the problem was the state mailed an absentee ballot to every registered voter, whether they wanted one or not. And they received back more than 8 times as many mail-in ballots as they did in 2016. And that is part of the reason Republicans in Nevada have filed another lawsuit this last Tuesday alleging voter fraud and irregularities. Now, the mass mailing of unsolicited ballots is, of course, a recipe for fraud. It always has been. It's putting out those ballots in circulation that can be used for nefarious purposes. And coming out of Virginia from the John Fredericks Show on WNTW AM and FM, and a bunch of other stations here. During the program, General Thomas McKerney outlined even more new evidence of nationwide ballot tampering to prevent a Trump victory. And basically is saying that Hammer and Scorecard computer software developed by the CIA in 2003 was used to stop a Trump landslide victory in 2020. And he said, in his opinion, these offenses are treasonous and deserve major prison time for those involved. And I would tend to agree. They're messing with the entire nation here. More than that, they're basically giving the finger not only to the current president of the United States of America, but to you, the American voter and the American taxpayer. They're sending a message saying, vote all you want. It doesn't really matter. We'll tell you who's in charge. Just keep that money and those young people for wars coming as fast as you can. Over in Wisconsin, last night they issued an order to recount ballots in 2 counties following a request by the Trump campaign. And basically, commissioners in a video teleconference argued for nearly 6 hours before ultimately agreeing to conduct the recount. And so they're issuing an order for the recount. It is not discretionary, it is mandatory. But apparently the commission, which has 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats, debated for hours on how the recount would be conducted. And some said state law governing a recount contained ambiguities. And in those ambiguities, more fraud is likely to be hidden. Little bit of good news coming out of Arizona. Governor Doug Ducey, Duque, has basically said that he will not accept the election results until all of the outstanding lawsuits are settled. And of course, this is focusing on Maricopa County. And there are lawsuits there trying to block the certification of the election results, again, due to voter irregularities and improprieties. I mean, it's all over the country. We can't trust any of these numbers from any of the states here. So there are legal claims that are being challenged in court, and everybody on the ballot has certain access rights and remedies. And if they want to push that, they are able. Now, Ducey said, we trust our elections here in Arizona. There are questions. Those questions should be answered. So the fight is still ongoing. Over in the House of Representatives, Representatives Jim Jordan of Ohio and James Comer of Kentucky have sent a letter to Judiciary Committee Chair Jerry Nadler and Oversight Panel Chair Carolyn Maloney, demanding an immediate congressional investigation into the integrity of the entire 2020 election. Let's see if they can get that past the House Democrats. I seriously doubt it. All righty. Now, apparently the Joe Biden transition team, they're out there still trying to project calm. Even though a lot of their actions seem to suggest panic, and they're still trying to project the image that Biden is the president-elect, but he can't be until after the Electoral College meets or Trump concedes, neither of which has happened. So they're mounting a lobbying blitz to go after GOP representatives and senators to try and get them to stop resisting his transition, to basically get them to turn on the President of the United States of America. Now, last Tuesday, the American Principles Project filed a Federal Election Commission complaint against Facebook, claiming that the social media company broke the law by censoring one of their Political Action Committee ads attacking Joe Biden and Senator Gary Peters. And the ad slammed their support for a law that would force biological girls to compete with biological boys. And even though PolitiFact could find no factual error in the ad, the fact check from Facebook claimed the ad was missing its context because it contradicted Biden's transgender agenda. And Facebook used this fact check to flag the ad. And basically, fact check is a fancy word for our propaganda can beat your propaganda, I think is what's going on here. And some very troubling signs from a potential Biden administration. Biden has tapped an anti-free speech figure for the transition lead on media accuracy. And the New York Post is reporting that Biden has selected Richard Stengel to take the lead position on the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which includes Voice of America, Middle East Broadcasting Networks, and so forth. And apparently he's out there saying that all speech is not equal, and that the First Amendment needs to be reworked so that only speech approved by the government is considered free and everybody else can be silenced. Basically, they want to end the First Amendment. There's no way to modify it. The First Amendment's an absolute. It allows anybody to say anything, and then at the same time, anybody who disagrees can stand up and say, I disagree because your facts are uncoordinated, to put it politely, okay? So, again, this is where Biden wants to take the country. No more First Amendment, and he's after the Second Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is all but gone. The Fifth Amendment is all but gone. They're tearing apart our Bill of Rights and our Constitution that so many Americans fought and died to preserve, protect, and defend. All righty, Biden's pick for Attorney General basically advocates fully open borders. Just flood them all in here from Mexico, from Central America, from South America, from the Middle East. We already know the CDC is not checking these people coming in for illnesses like COVID. And apparently, there are several people under consideration, but Becerra, I think is his name, served in the House of Representatives and is guaranteed to basically bring a very different approach to immigration law. Now, this one is a little bit scary, okay? Out in California, a Democrat regional director, David Atkins, tweeted yesterday, how do you program 75 million people, meaning those who voted for Trump? And what he is saying is he wants to implement a post-World War II type re-education camp for conservatives. And I mean, that is as scary. You know, he's talking about we have to think about post-World War II Germany or Japan or the failures of Reconstruction in the South. So there's some very scary, draconian ideas floating around the potential Biden administration. Now, Nancy Pelosi is going to serve her next term as Speaker of the House. As it turned out, nobody ran against her, and the Democrats basically voted her in. So she basically was unopposed and claims it shows unity. And I'm wondering about those who were thinking about running against her, if they were also victims of the thugocracy, getting threats and calls in the night here. Getting into some other news here, activist Colin Kaepernick is calling for the release of Mumia Abu Jamal. We have talked about him in the past. He's a former Black Panther, and he's in prison for supposedly killing a Philadelphia police officer back in 1981. But controversy has always surrounded that case, and a lot of people are convinced that it was actually his brother who shot the police officer, and that Mumia basically went to jail for him. And he has continued writing, doing radio interviews. He continues to be an activist. And so Colin basically recorded a video for Bring Mumia Home. And it's probably one of the few things, if not the only thing, I'm in agreement with Colin about. Because I've looked at the Mumia case, and I'm convinced he was innocent and he got framed because they had to put somebody in prison here. Interestingly enough, Megyn Kelly is leaving New York City and taking her kids out of their $56,000 a year private school. Apparently, it's being run by a bunch of woke people because they circulated a letter inside the school saying that white kids are being indoctrinated in Black death and they will all grow up to be killer cops. Now, that is way off the deep end. And I know we've mentioned before private schools as an option for the indoctrination of public schools, but apparently even the private schools have been taken over by the woke culture. And I find it appalling that any educational institution is going to go on out there saying that white kids are being indoctrinated to kill blacks and become killer cops. I mean, if somebody made that same comment about the Black population, that they were being indoctrinated to kill whites, the corporate media would be screaming racist, racist, racist all over the place. Now, we have talked about parler. I know a lot of people call it parlor, but it's the French word for speak. And it's pronounced parlay. And I've recently joined. I'm starting to put some stuff up there. It is already growing very, very fast. It's basically considers itself a free speech Twitter spinoff. You can put anything that you want on there, and already there's a lot of advertisements. You will not be flagged. They will not take your account away. But Bill Gates is out there joining the chorus of voices saying this is a bad thing. Saying that Parlay has some crazy stuff on there, like how the 2020 election was stolen and so forth and so on. So Bill Gates is definitely showing that he is part of the deep state. Okay, we have got to take a break for some commercials. We're going to continue with news after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers.
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is engaged in a perpetual fundraiser. And we're at a very historic time right now. I'm sure that decades from now, there will be history books written about what happened during 2020 in the election season and the course the nation was put on as a result of what basically amounts to a coup d'etat against a sitting president here. So we do need your help to keep doing what we're doing. We don't have any conservative billionaires supporting us. We don't have any corporate grants or any of that sort of thing coming on in. We're basically in a position fighting billionaires with spare change we find underneath the seat cushions, and we need your help here. So once again, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19 because it's still out there, and they're saying the second wave is here, and the case numbers are going up, and states are really cracking down. In fact, right here in Indiana, my wife's church has gone back to virtual services starting this Sunday. So we don't know how long that's going to last, but apparently students are doing at-home learning, online learning, and the schools are closed for the immediate future. So it's getting really serious here. Now, here is an interesting story. There's a team of Irish medical and public health professionals, and they published a white paper entitled COVID-19 Alternative Strategy, a Case for Health and Socioeconomic Well-Being. And basically, the major theme of this white paper is they're proving that lockdowns do not work against the spreading of this illness, and they cause a lot of harm, both economic and emotional, and they do absolutely nothing to stop the spread of coronavirus. Now, there's a Danish study now that have come on out saying that wearing masks will not stop you from getting COVID. And the scientists are saying there's a troubling lack of evidence to justify wearing them. And the rationale has been masks are better than nothing because they block at least some virus. But again, how much? My opinion is it's like trying to stop mosquitoes with a chain link fence. And I don't think they're really working all that well. Over in Portugal, apparently there's a case that has gone to their appeals court, and the appeals court has ruled the PCR tests are unreliable and that it is illegal to use a PCR test result to impose a lockdown on their people. So that is another shot in the kneecap of the official COVID-19 narrative. Okay. Now, Kayleigh McEnany is out there saying that states' rules to curb the spread of COVID are Orwellian, and claims that American people are smart enough to know how to protect their health. And apparently this came on out yesterday. And some of this stuff is very silly. As one of our callers pointed out yesterday, having a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. makes no sense at all. COVID can't tell time. We have other places where they're saying you have to wear a mask inside your own home. And that is, I think, very, very ridiculous here. All right, over at the High Wire with Del Bigtree, apparently Great Britain is expecting a high volume of COVID vaccine adverse reactions. The initial tests coming out for both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, the test subjects are getting some serious adverse effects here. And the corporate media is trying to prop up the vaccine industry by saying that side effects from the vaccine prove that it's working. So if you get the shot and you start puking all over your carpet, that's a good thing. Okay, that's what they're trying to say here. All righty. All right, apparently New York public schools will close from tomorrow as COVID infection rate hits 3%. Cuomo is warning gyms and indoor dining will be next, as he warns of astronomical increases in cases in the western part of the state. And this will be, again, it's a repeat of what we saw in the spring, but these companies have not economically recovered And we're going to see a lot of businesses go out of business. It's starting to affect us even here in Santa Claus. Oh, we got to take another break for commercials. How time flies when you're having fun. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through healthyworldstore.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor, I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's the favorite daughter that someone wants to help her.
Welcome back to our show here. We're still talking about COVID-19. And apparently there was a study done that found traces of coronavirus in Italy in September of last year. And China is saying that this clears it of any blame for supposedly starting the pandemic. And so we'll wait and see what transpires from that. The FDA has approved the first at-home COVID test. So now you can shove a swab up your own nose and do it in the comfort of your own home. And it's basically the COVID-19 all-in-one test kit made by Lucira Health. It basically is. It's a self-collected nasal swab. You put it in the sample vial, and you'll be able to see the results on a screen in 30 minutes or less. Quick, easy, and safe. I noticed the word accurate was not in that description here. Okay, Moderna is out there, and they're actually acknowledging there is a problem, potential problem with their vaccine. And they're describing it as components of mRNA technology could lead to significant adverse events in one or more of our clinical trials. Now, there are a dozen COVID-19 vaccines are undergoing trials right now. 2 are out there in front, Pfizer and Moderna. And, you know, they're using never before approved messenger RNA technology. They're conducting an experiment. They're turning us all into guinea pigs to see if this is going to work. And, you know, we're still trying to get an idea whether these are going to be mandatory or not. But apparently under U.S. law, you do have a right to refuse a vaccine. Now, of course, the government may change that law and simply say you can refuse the vaccine, but you won't be able to travel. You won't be able to go to work. You won't be able to drive your car or anything like that. There are all kinds of ways to coerce people on this, but I don't intend to even look at getting this vaccine until at least 6 months after the start of the program here, both because of what happened back in 1976 with the swine flu vaccine, and because one of the doctors I know thinks that what I just went through medically was an adverse vaccine reaction. And it's going to be with me for a very, very long time. Another little article, this one is coming out of No More Fake News, saying, don't believe the COVID case numbers, it's a scam. And basically saying that all of these case numbers we're being told are skyrocketing are coming from basically eyeball diagnoses by the doctors. The doctor observes a patient has a cough or chills and fever, and that's it. That's all the doctor needs to say, oh, this is COVID-19, that's a case number. You know, but that's the way they're doing these things. And we know that a lot of the other tests have a high number of false positives. None of this stuff really has a good solid grounding in science or medicine. It's frightening how reckless they're being with all of this here. Now, there is a pathologist. He's considered an expert in his field, Dr. Roger Hodkinson. And up in Canada, he told government officials in Alberta that the current coronavirus crisis is, quote, the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on an unsuspecting public. And Hodkinson's comments were made during a discussion involving the Community and Public Services Committee. The clip was then uploaded to YouTube and it went viral. Now, Hodkinson, who's also an expert in virology, basically says, you know, he knows a little bit about this. And he says, this is public hysteria. It's unfounded. It's driven by the media and politicians. And it is completely outrageous. And we certainly know the Democrats were pushing a lot of fear about COVID-19 to get more people to vote by mail, from which a great deal of the fraud appears to have occurred. Okay, now, let's see. Over in the Daily Mail in Great Britain, they're talking about the British government's Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, and they've basically admitted that their early virus modeling was based on unverified figures they got from Wikipedia. And we know that Wikipedia can be edited and managed by members of the public. So anybody who wanted to inflate the numbers and increase the fear, they would just go in and change the articles on Wikipedia. And SAGE basically took those numbers as gospel, if you'll pardon the use of the phrase. And now they're out there basically, I mean, on the basis of the Wikipedia data, SAGE predicted that we were going to see the peak of coronavirus last June, which did not happen. All right, now there's been a lot of talk about stay home or stay in school for Thanksgiving break, don't travel, and it's not taking because apparently a lot of students are basically heading home for Thanksgiving. And this plea to stay in your dormitory and stay on campus, it's not really working very well. People are really, really tired of this. Now, as we reported earlier, there are all kinds of protests against the lockdowns all over Germany. And apparently, Germany has now passed a law basically saying they can do anything they want in the name of stopping COVID-19. So it's getting very, very dictatorial over there. Over in Great Britain, their top counterterror officer is saying that COVID anti-vaxxers should face action for spreading false information that could cost lives. And of course, false is a determination made by the government and the pharmaceutical industries, not by independent experts here. All right, turning to the international news here. The Israeli Air Force once again bombed targets in Syria amid the growing turbulence in the Middle East. And apparently on November 18th, the Israeli Air Force conducted a series of strikes on targets in Syria. They claimed the strikes hit warehouses, command posts, and military complexes, batteries of surface-to-air missiles belonging to the Syrian army and the Iranian Quds Force. Supposedly, they hit 8 targets, including an alleged Iranian military complex near the Damascus International Airport, some mysterious secret military barracks that acted as a housing complex, they claim, for senior Iranian officials, as well as visiting delegations, a command post for Division 7 of the Syrian Army, and surface-to-air missile launchers, which had fired in the direction of the Israeli jets during the strikes. Well, that's what they're supposed to do here. Iran, shortly after it came on out that Donald Trump had seriously considered attacking Iran, and specifically the Natanz site, they have fired up the advanced uranium centrifuges installed at Natanz. So they're sending a message back they will not be deterred. Now, Natanz is an underground facility. The U.S. does have bombs big enough to reach it. But Iran is basically, they're sending a message. There's still no evidence they're considering a nuclear weapon, but they're still standing up and saying, you don't get to come on in here and tell us how to run our country after you pulled out of the P5+1 deal. Now, the latest news we're getting is that Joe Biden is going to re-enter the Iran deal, P5+1, and I'm not sure exactly what the ramifications of that are going to be. If he's going to demand more concessions from Iran, I would almost expect that will be the case here. Over in China, Beijing is becoming alarmed over the continued use of the Five Eyes system to basically spy on and even interfere in Hong Kong. And the Chinese Foreign Ministry has gone back to issue a warning saying, don't interfere or you're going to get your five eyes poked out. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the economy, which is not doing very well. The U.S. national debt soared by $3.75 trillion with a T since March 1st, was powered by stimulus and bailouts. It has increased by $4.2 trillion over the last year to a total of $27.3 trillion. The money is whizzing by so fast you can't even see it. And these are all Treasury securities. Somebody had to buy them. And a lot of people, a lot of other nations still are, except China. China does not want to buy any more U.S. Treasuries. And that's another signal that relations with China are definitely on the downside. Remember the story we reported yesterday that in the quest for unity between Republicans and Democrats, China is the new bad guy, because that is something that apparently everybody in Congress agrees on here. All righty. Let's see. Another story out of Investment Watch blog. 25,000 people lined up for food. They're calling it Great Depression 2.0, and that you should get ready for it. Meanwhile, in New York City, landlords are saying that they're on the brink of catastrophe because of all the people unable to pay their rents, both resident and retail, even commercial. And they don't know what they're going to do if somebody doesn't do something. It does look like there's a big, big crash, on the way here. Over in the United Kingdom, their debt could reach 105% of the gross domestic product due to their COVID spending. And apparently, the British economy is suffering its worst contraction in the last 300 years. All right. Little bit of good news out there for people who are looking forward to the holidays, such as they're going to be allowed to enjoy. We had reported earlier that two of the traditional TV offerings that we had all grown up with, the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and the Charlie Brown Christmas, were not going to be shown to normal cable and over-the-air viewers because apparently Apple bought up the entire library of all the Charlie Brown shows. But apparently PBS struck a deal with Apple, and they're going to bring the programs back to traditional television for special airings. And I don't have the dates with me, but I'm sure if you look, you will be able to find them. It was even announced on the radio this morning here. All right, getting into some technology here, and everything is spying on you. My iPhone is spying on me. My iWatch is spying on me. And I think late at night they plot against me as well here. But there is an interesting little story. This is coming out of the Daily Mail, and it says U.S. experts discovered a way to hack the Xiaomi Roborock robot cleaner by accessing its LiDAR readings. Now, the LiDAR is in this machine. It's also in the more recent Roombas to avoid bumping into furniture, which over time can leave marks on the finish here. And the LiDAR measures distances, illuminating the target with laser beams and measuring their reflection with a sensor. But apparently this same device can capture sounds in the room by obtaining reflections off of the objects, like a rubbish bin or a window that vibrate due to nearby sound sources, such as a person talking. So your robot cleaner, even though it does not have a microphone, can be used to eavesdrop on what you're saying. Good time to put the cat on top of it and get the cat purring, I would say. But apparently a hacker could repurpose the LiDAR sensor to gather acoustic signals in the environment, remotely harvest the LiDAR data from the cloud, and process the raw signal with deep learning techniques to extract the audio information. It does seem to be a serious flaw. One easy way to fix it is to limit the laser to pulsing, only so many times a second below the range of human speech, for example, and hardwire that into the power circuitry so it can't be changed with a software patch. Okay, now then, a lot of talk going on about what's going to be happening in space. They're talking about an eventual replacement for the ISS. SpaceX has got some very ambitious plans out there. They're hoping to go back to the moon with a male and female crew in 2024, although that may get delayed a little bit. But apparently, there is a plan to put a space station in orbit around the moon as part of the so-called Lunar Gateway, and it's going to be essentially a gas station. And it will be refueled with chemical propellants. And so rocket ships that are heading out into the outer solar system will stop by the moon to get a fill up and, get the front windshields wiped, get the oil checked, air in the tires, and all the rest of that, we hope. Oh, that's right. These things are all self-service. Okay. NASA is planning to put a nuclear power plant on the moon by 2026. They're inviting proposals from private companies to take on the challenge. And basically, the plan involves constructing a 10 kilowatt fission surface power system. This first one will be purely for demonstrative purposes, and the plant will be manufactured and assembled here on Earth, then shipped to the moon on a launch vehicle. This is a true fission reactor. It is not a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which would be far more reliable and far safer. They're talking about an actual fission reactor. And apparently the plan is they will take the nuclear power plant to moon orbit, from which a lander will take it down to the surface. And they will run the demonstration for 1 year, and hopefully it will allow future missions to the moon and Mars. Okay. Apparently, British company Elecnor Deimos is going to work with ClearSpace to design the attitude and orbit control systems of the Claw. This is the world's first space tugboat that will basically remove a piece of space junk by dragging it into Earth's atmosphere in a 100 million pound suicide mission. Longtime readers will recall when I put up my own proposal to clear up the space junk problem that involved little bubbles of carbon dioxide gas to slow the debris. It certainly would not cost anywhere near as much as this. But apparently, that's what they're going to do. All right, we need to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. take the red pill.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here. Area code 512-248-8252. And we've already got a caller on the line. John in Pennsylvania, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I was calling because I've been turning on the TV once in a while, and all I hear is COVID this, COVID that. I don't hear anything about the election fraud that's going on. I think that should be our main reason.
I would tend to agree with you, and I was just noticing that on Fox News today, that, yeah, they're definitely trying to shift the focus of the American people back to the virus and not talk about the election fraud.
Yeah, because it's overwhelming. People are believing that this strain of the common cold is going to kill us all. Nobody's sick. They're laying off people in the hospitals, and I think we should focus on this fraud. There's something really, really bad here.
Oh, there's no question. There's something very, very bad here, and we're certainly going to keep our focus on it. Because, I mean, as bad as COVID-19 may or may not be, and I feel sorry for everybody who gets sick and for all the people who are dying of whatever cause they're actually dying of. But yes, this election fraud, I mean, we're looking at the entire future course of our nation and all 300 plus million Americans who are going to have to live through that.
Yes. And if it goes the way they want it to go, we're gonna go the way of Venezuela or something. We're just gonna be opposite to do what they say. But I don't know if the American people are gonna put up with that.
Well, I'm getting a lot of anger coming over the phone lines. I'm getting a lot of anger in some of the emails I'm getting. I'm even starting to pick up a lot of anger just in people I meet face to face around here who have no idea that I do a radio show or a website, but they're very angry. They all know the election was rigged, and they're very, very upset because, you know, it's like, you know, growing up and then discovering that your parents are arch criminals. And we've grown up believing in the integrity and honesty of the elections, and we're discovering that that is simply not so, that the elections are simply a theater pageant that we go through every 2 years, and that it is wide open to fraud, and that the president is no longer being elected, he's being selected. And again, you have to wonder the mindset of the people doing this, where they selected somebody who's obviously mentally deteriorating, and they probably did that because he's going to be easy to control.
I agree with you, but some of the things that Pelosi says, Joe Biden says, AOC says, hey, we're going to ruin your country, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're going to fix the election.
That's definitely it. All right. Well, John, I got to let you go. We got to do a station identification. We got a bunch more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back with hour two.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Okay, I've heard you or somebody else mention today that some Democrats are now advocating things like struggle sessions and re-education camps for conservatives.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No. I think that that's probably more widespread than you think. I believe we seriously are on the verge of a civil war. I can't imagine that conservatives are going to allow themselves to be herded up off the concentration camps and treated like that. Yeah, if they want to try that with me, they can do it at the point of my gun. I guarantee you, I will not go. Period. And I think any other conservatives feel the same. I want to tell you as well that how this election has gone reminds me exactly of what I remember from growing up in Louisiana. We always knew the old ward bosses, especially in New Orleans, were going to stuff the ballot boxes to get the Democrat in. And, you know, if you, to me, this looked exactly like what I've seen time and time again, you know, in Louisiana. And as soon as I saw the vote totals change, I thought, okay, the so-called ward bosses are at it again. They have stolen. They're trying to steal this election.
Yes.
If we don't stop this right now, we will never have another free and reliable election again in this country. And I think if we can get to the bottom of this, if we can find out who's behind that, these people need to go to jail. They need to be hanged. This is treason. This is nothing short of treason, Mike.
Yes.
And I'm just amazed, you know, that some people would actually consent to this nonsense. They put a man in office who would turn the United States into a banana republic. That's exactly the danger we're facing right now. Joe Biden will turn this country into a banana republic.
Well, the far left of the Democratic Party is already putting pressure on him to adopt their agenda. And, you know, what kind of craziness is coming over from that. But, yeah, they're all out there. They're starting to openly talk about, you know, communism as being a good thing. And I don't really know. I know that growing up in public school, I was taught communism was a bad thing. So I don't know where they're getting this new enlightenment from, if you will.
Well, I've talked with many people who grew up in communist countries who tell me it's a bad thing.
Yes.
I knew many Cubans growing up in southern Louisiana. I met Russians who were able to get out of the Soviet Union back in the 70s and the 80s. I don't know of anybody who's ever lived in a communist country or under communism who ever told me it was a desirable form of government. And if for people in this country to tell you that, well, communism is good, I'm just curious. Well, what's your experience with it? Have you talked with people who lived there? I mean, I lived in Berlin. You can walk up and down where the old wall was, the Grenzmauer there.
Yeah.
You could see the monuments of the people who tried to get out of Berlin, out of East Berlin into West Berlin because they didn't want a Big Brother's jack doing their neck anymore. Good Lord. This country has become, we are evolving rapidly into an idiocracy, Mike.
Yes, we are.
This is just, it's appalling, really appalling. If I could get out of this country and go someplace just where I could relax, like Costa Rica, and just lie back for a few years, I'd do that.
Well, I do that too, but they won't take anybody at my age.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you. I think they'd take me.
Oh, okay.
They'd take you.
Well, let me know if they do.
Well, I will if I can talk my wife into going with me. Anyway, as I said, it's very disturbing, Mike. We have evolved into an idiocracy, and it's only going to get worse. If Biden manages to steal this election, this country will absolutely come apart at the seams.
Well, this is not the first stolen election. I mean, John F. Kennedy stole it from Richard Nixon. I mean, there's been election fraud for as long as there's been elections. It's just this time they were so over the top, needing to defeat a Trump landslide that everybody noticed and people are complaining. Even Democrats, have come forward to say, I saw cheating.
Yeah, it was over the top. And that's why I said this reminded me of what I saw many times in Louisiana.
Yes.
It was an old ward boss operation. And I mean, I recognized it immediately. And anybody who grew up in Louisiana would recognize that. And of course, anybody who grew up in Pennsylvania would recognize what happened in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope Trump can get in. And frankly, if he does, I want to see some people rounded up and hanged. I really do. I'm sick of this stuff.
Oh, I would like to see that too. But right now, it looks like Trump's plan is to simply have the Supreme Court declare the election null, at least in the swing states, at which point the presidential election under the Constitution gets thrown into the House of Representatives where Trump would win.
Yes. And I think that's where it's headed. And actually, if you've listened to Justice Alito,
yes,
he's been very harsh in his criticism of this. And I think one reason that the Democrats are terrified of having this into the Supreme Court is that Alito, I think, is going to have a lot of sway, even on the Chief Justice in a matter like this.
Yes,
and he was just brutal in his criticism of this nonsense. So if they can get into the Supreme Court, I think Trump has a really good chance. Anyway, I got to go. I got to let you have your other calls, but thanks for taking my call today, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Anthony in Tucson. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello. I wanted to know that the framers, when they drew up the United States Constitution, were giving you a republic, and it is up to you to keep it.
Yeah, it was
now, I
Ben
want
Franklin.
to know who can I get to file the treason, subversion, and the conspiracy against the Democratic Party, which was started by Jacob Schiff, who vowed that he would destroy this country and turn it into a communist bloc nation, and backing it up by Mr. Biden, claiming that he was responsible for the Brady bill being passed.
Mm-hmm.
Calling our defense weapons assault weapons when our weapons are only an assault weapon when we are put on ships, airplanes, or boats to fight a war. That's when our weapons become assault weapons. And I was trying to find the quote from the communist by the name of Sarah Brady, who I believe was even involved in having Reagan shot. She said, how else, oh, brother, I guess I really want to know if there's some me in filing treason against the Democratic Party because they are subversive and their plan is to overthrow this government. And they said They can't turn this into a socialist country until all of us who oppose them have guns. And I'm trying to actually get the quote from her, but evidently her best buddy, here I found it. Says that, in her own words, our task of creating a social America can only succeed when those who would resist us have been totally disarmed. The Jewish lobby, who is Feinstein, Schumer, Franken, Boxer, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who finally met her deserved hole in the ground, who murdered 85 million at the time that I did the research of innocent lust children that were the future citizens of this country, the future caregivers, the future scientists, and she deliberately is responsible for their murder. And Mr. Biden and his crooked whole regime is taking credit for trying to disarm the American people when we do not possess assault weapons. We possess defense weapons against our government and against communists like Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris, along with Sarah Brady. Now, I've already filed to declare war on Israel. They are a religion. They claim they're God's chosen people, and the First Amendment says that the Congress shall establish no religion, and that's the only sore spot that I have with Mr. Donald Trump, is that he's giving them billions of dollars along with all of the other past presidents in the establishment of a group that claimed they are a religion and God's chosen people, and they had a right to genocide the people in Palestine to form a state within Israel, and then now they want to take over the whole country of it. By him moving the embassy from Tel Aviv and making Jerusalem the capital of the Israelites, they are not Israelites. An Israelite is not a Jew, and a Jew is not an Israelite. These people are strictly evil, wicked, and they've caused the First World War, the Second World War, and every war we've had since. And now we're in their gun sights. We're next, like China and Russia. So I don't know how much of this got through to you, but I do want the name of the person who will help me file the treason and criminal subversion, because I'm pretty sure there's something under Aids of the Enemy Act, which could be applied to the Democratic Party and its leaders who want to destroy this country, who changed our morals, they've changed our money, and they've changed our law. They even created two new sexes, his and his, her and her. So I don't know if this is going over your network or not. But
No, I get what you're saying here. I mean, you know, the Democrats count genders the way they count the votes.
Well, Stalin said, I don't care if you vote. All I care is who counts the votes. So this whole election was one big fraud, like Mr. Trump said. But there again, he aided and abetting his enemy when he supports Israel, because Israel and the Jewish lobby, not the ones who believe in the Torah, because I think they're against homosexuals, they're against plural marriages, they're against genociding children. But I am against the one that in the Talmud where it says, my Lord was conceived during Mary's menstrual cycle, and she was a prostitute. Those are the kind of things that I consider as hate speech, and now they're going to try to tell me I speak hate speech when I expose the Jewish lobby for what they've done, not only to this country, but around the world.
Yes, definitely. You know, but more and more people are starting to reject this idea that.
Because I do want to demand a new election here in Arizona. I believe it was all fraud because they destroyed our president's re-election signs, and then they even stole the major portion of them. They were never put up.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a dirty campaign and a dishonest campaign. And yes, it's fraudulent from sea to shining sea. There is not a single state in this country whose election numbers can be trusted or believed in.
Like I said, I'm willing to file a lawsuit now to put a stop to this because they've gone too far. Now they're trying to tell me they're going to buy back my gun, which they did not sell to me, and they're going to limit me to a gun that you have to cock it every time you pull the trigger once. This is called, and I've done this research, and I don't want to be respectful to the people who misunderstand me. The word niggardly, the word niggard, and the word nigger. There are three different definitions. The first definition of niggardly is one who's covetous, overbearing, brutal, miserly, stingy, parsimonious.
Yeah.
That is the government that's in control of our country now. A niggard, N-I-G-G-A-R-D, is every American who went along with accepting a Social Security card, a Federal Reserve note, and a driver's license. These are and mandatory insurance. So I want everybody that's listening to this story, if they've accepted that, they've qualified for the word niggard, N-I-G-G-A-R-D. And the one who did it to you was the insurance lobby, the Senate and the Congress, and the 9 whores in the Supreme Court who are out to destroy this country and have done a damn good job of it.
All right. Well, listen, Anthony, thank you very much. Anthony, we're going to have to let you go here because we got callers on the line and we're getting into the second hour of the show. So thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, a couple of things on my mind, Mike. You know what you just said about that clown who said, talk about re-education camps? Hey, idiot, watch what you're asking for, because you just might get it, but on you. You're talking about most of the red states in this country, the most heavily armed states, the most veterans, the hardest and the toughest. All right? There's a mountain. I got a mountain right behind my house. I used to like to want to hike there, right?
Yes.
And a couple of years ago when I first moved here, and I was hiking, and I got stopped. The guys with rifles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can't go here. This is private land, right? And I found out shortly afterwards it's a survivalist camp. And I've been hearing gunfire all constantly now. And it ain't little pistols either.
Yeah.
These sound to me like AR-15s and AK-47s and maybe something even more powerful, okay? People are getting ready. People are angry, Mike, just below the surface.
Yes.
You know, I don't want this. I'm too old for this. You know, I'm trying to be peaceful. I'm trying to think peaceably. But nobody is going to go and, you know, pick me up for a concentration camp. No, ain't going to happen. I'm going to take, and who are they going to have to do it? You little lefties ain't going to do it. You're going to get massacred. You're going to send the FBI? The FBI would get massacred if they tried to do it. They're not soldiers. They're basically shyster lawyers with guns. That's all they are.
Mm-hmm.
So who else are you going to send after them? The military's not going to do it, I can promise you. Not the mid-level officers and enlisted men. They're loyal as they come. They come from these places, from places like this. They don't come from the big cities. Some do, but a few, especially the combat troops, they come from places like this. All right? And Mike,
yes.
I was saying, and we also not going to buy your silly COVID stories either. We're not going to lock down again. You may get New York and places like that to lock down. You ain't going to get red states. Okay? You're not going to get the cooperation. Who's going to listen to not going to Thanksgiving? All right? That's ridiculous.
True.
And by the way, Mike, I was talking to you yesterday about the possibility of martial law, that Trump calling martial law. You didn't seem to approve it. I don't approve of it either. But as a last resort, this election is a coup. What they've done is an attempted coup on this country.
Yes, it is.
This is not just some stealing. This is not just stealing like in some small, in some small election area of Chicago. This is huge. They actually overcame a landslide. This is a Trump landslide. This is a coup, Mike. And as a last resort, If I was Trump, this is what I would be thinking. It's not just me as president. He's fighting for the Constitution of this country and the survival of this country. Because if this is allowed to go through, I think that's the end of the United States of America as we know it. I think it would only be a...
Yeah, I agree.
Totally slow.
I agree.
We'll go into civil war, both being very likely. He has to do something. And if it comes down to it as a last resort, Supreme Court doesn't listen or doesn't do what they're supposed to do, I think he needs to do it. And I think he's preparing for it. Everything I gather, the way he got rid of Esper there and put in a special forces guy who's much closer to the rank and file of the troops, not to the top generals. They seized that, I believe they seized that information there at the those machines at the Army, at the CIA base there in Germany. I believe they did. I believe they got all that stuff.
Okay, Mark, I got to put you on hold. I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, there's drugs to get you up, and there's drugs to help you get down. There's drugs you get from a doctor, and there's drugs you get downtown. And there's drugs that help your hearing, even drugs that help your sight. And there's drugs that help you think that every little thing is going to be all right. Smoking, steam, and even shots, pills, capsules.
Welcome back to our show here, and I think that last piece of bump music ought to be the state song for Oregon right now. because meth and cocaine and LSD are now legal there, but plastic straws are still banned. So be very, very careful that you do not get in trouble. All right, we're talking with Mark in North Carolina, and a reminder, we've got open lines right now if you want to call on in. Area code 512-248-8252. So getting back to Mark, what's on, please continue.
Yeah, like I said, Mike, they don't understand what they're dealing with. I mean, there's a lot of anger around here, okay? And this is the area where people hunt, okay? Know how to hunt animals. I don't hunt. I love animals too much, okay? But the thing is, people who do, they know how to stalk. They know how to track. They know how to set traps. You got all kinds of veterans here. You got militias like the Oath Keepers and others. All around pretty much around the red states. This is the last place you people want to mess with. You think you're going to come for us? We'll come for you. We'll put you in a concentration camp if it comes down to it, okay? The re-education camp. They're going to do that to us.
Listen, if we do that, I have an idea. If we put the liberals into re-education camps, the first thing we teach them is which bathroom to use.
Which what?
Which bathroom to use.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be a good lesson. And what's really a man and what's really a woman.
Yes, true.
I mean, this is just crazy. And with this COVID stuff on top of it, with their lockdowns, come on. It's not going to do anybody any good. And the masks aren't doing anybody any good either. I was at the gym just before, right? And I was talking with people there. They know these masks are a joke. They know that the best way to combat any kind of a virus or to prevent any kind of virus is to exercise, get plenty of sunshine and fresh air, and take some supplements and eat right.
Yes.
Stuff your face full of McDonald's hamburgers and make that your diet. Okay? That's the secret. That should square you away.
Okay.
But these people, but they want to. They're not interested in our good health, Mike. They want us sick. They want us weak. Why do you think people were locked down and told to stay in their house? The first lockdown, I didn't listen. I was out there. I went to the store. I went to the, I did what I needed to do. I couldn't go to the gym at the time because they locked it down. I went hiking. I was out. I was outside. I was, driving around. I was doing, and I was wearing a mask. They didn't hardly have any masks anyway. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm not a young guy. I'm up there in your age limit. All right?
You have my deepest sympathies.
Yeah, I know, but I take care of myself. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not going to take their poisonous vaccine either, because that vaccine will make you sick, at the very least, if it doesn't kill you. I mean, this is an RNA vaccine. This is a deadly vaccine. They have it's untested. It's dangerous, and you'd be crazy to take it. But and Bill Gates opened his mouth too about parlay, whatever it's called.
Yes.
Who is this guy, Mike? Who is this clown? Just because he stole a lot of money, he thinks he's God? I mean, come on. And people have made it clear they don't like him. He was whining about that before, too.
Yes.
This little nerd, though, I think is more as evil as Hitler and more dangerous because he's got all this access to these vaccines and these germs and who knows what else. They got to be kidding, Mike. They really do.
Well, one of the things that worries me about Bill Gates is how he's talked over the years about using vaccines to reduce the human population on Earth. And I notice that apparently at least one of these two vaccines that is nearing final approval is using cells from aborted fetuses. And I'm very concerned that one of the real purposes of this vaccine campaign is to trick women's bodies into treating a pregnancy as if it was an infection, thereby triggering miscarriages.
Mike, you were absolutely right. This clown is obsessed with lowering the world's population, okay? and he comes from a family of that also. His father was the head of Planned Parenthood in Seattle. Now, I'm not going to condemn the guy because of his father, but he shows he's just like his father. It's
Yes.
like Max Blumenthal, one of the great investigative reporters today. All right, his father
Yes.
is Sidney Blumenthal, a real scumbag. Okay, one of the biggest political scumbags around. Even Obama didn't want to have him in his administration. But Max is the real deal. Okay, he's totally anti-war. He goes to places like Syria to investigate what's really going on.
Yes, he does. Mark, I'm sorry. I've let you talk a while here. We got to take another break for commercials, and we got other callers waiting. Thank you very much for the phone call. We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heart throb and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the phones to JR in Georgia. Hello, JR. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Excuse me, Mike. Some interesting callers this afternoon. I'm going to say something that might make some people mad, but you need to slow your roll on this presidential election. There's still a ways to go, but chances are this is going to end up in front of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
At a minimum. And as it stands right now, and what we know from historical judges by this current Supreme Court, chances are this is going to come down to Gorsuch and Cavalot. Because you've got three, Alito, Barrett, and Thomas. Roberts is probably done. He's going to go with the flaming liberals. So it's going to take those two to push it to a 5-4 vote.
Okay.
I do not see that happening. I see one of them caving if the Supreme Court has to make a decision. And I know everybody wants to see all the different alt medias putting out information in regards to this is a complete and total absolute fraud.
Yes.
And one of the leading alt medias is Gateway Pundit, and they're like a hog that's just got out of the pen. They're in a harvested cornfield, and they're just snorting up everything they can snort. And they've been posting daily now for 6 or 7 straight days that this is a complete fraud.
Okay.
I know there's a lot
With
of people
ample
out there,
reason.
and you're listening. Pardon?
I said with ample reason.
I'm sure they have ample reason. That's exactly the premise I said. You might want to slow your roll a little bit and not get too amped up thinking that this thing could possibly be changed, because there's several walls that still have to be hurdled to get to the conclusion that most of us want in this listening world. Because the
Well,
one thing
I
that has
understand what
struck
you're
me
saying.
straight,
You know, the entire governmental judicial system is aligned against Donald Trump, and Biden may well succeed in the coup d'etat, but that is not going to stop anybody from looking at the election of 2020 as the most fraudulent in American history.
and I'm by no way means suggesting they will not look at it that way in a historical context. But the fact of the matter will be this: the coup d'etat will be complete and finished if Biden puts his hand on that Bible. Now, what happens after that? I'm not a disciple. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you. I don't even have an opinion what's going to happen.
Well,
The
the
one
country's
thing that
going to
is
be
concerned-
pulled hard left. I mean, the war party is back in power if Biden puts his hand on that Bible. You've got the squad is already trying to tug him into the extreme left. It's like I said the other day, you know, when I was a kid in public school, they were teaching gun safety, and today we have drag queen story hour.
Oh, and that's a generational culture change that has occurred over the past 40 or 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us who are, go ahead. All of us who are of age are aware of this.
Yes.
'Cause I'm 60, and I grew up during the age of taking a gun in a car to school property, and no one said
Yes.
anything. I mean,
That's true.
I lived in the country,
Yes.
and no one said a word about it. It could be lying in your back seat, a 22 long rifle, little old Ruger or Remington rifle used for bunny hopping shooting.
Yes.
But this is a completely different world that we live in now. And many of your previous callers I agree with. I do believe that the first shot of the Civil War, if it ever does come to fruition, was on the night of the election. I firmly believe that. That was
Yes.
the first Fort Sumter shot that was fired.
Yes.
And I'm just asking people, just don't get overconfident in regards to this election process, because to be honest with you, if I'm putting money in Vegas, Biden's in the office.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you should say that, because apparently the bookies in Vegas are still not paying out on any of the wagers because, in their opinion, the matter is far from settled. Now, nobody is overconfident that Trump is going to succeed in overcoming this coup d'état, but we're certainly working toward that. More for the idea that we have got to restore integrity to our elections. We've got to restore control over the government to the American people. And so I certainly don't intend to slow down the roll. I'm reporting all the good news and the bad news about what's going on in all these court battles. But mostly it's the sheer volume of the allegations and evidence coming on out that the American people need to deal with the fact that they have been cut out of the running of their own country.
I'll just leave. This will be my last statement here. If there's already video out today of that lady who was the attorney for the Trump team. What's her name?
Sidney Powell. Yes.
And she confirmed two things. This is the worst crisis, if you want to call it that, since 1775.
Yes.
And then she verified that there was actual servers in Germany gathered up. But she said, now you had to listen to her in the video, I don't know if it's the good guys or the bad guys. You can go look that up on the internet.
Okay, according to One American News Network, the data on whatever servers were seized gives Trump something like 400 and plus electoral college votes. So they literally did try and reverse a landslide, and of course, it just made it too obvious what was being done.
Well, I'm not personally. I don't know that particular part of the story. I just don't. I can't lay claim to it. But thank you for your time, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we're going to go to Jeff in Utah. Hello, Jeff. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Just wanted to say we're going into the New World Order, whether it's with Trump or Biden. Okay, that's for sure. Two of the biggest globalist agendas are 5G and vaccines. Just so happens those are two of the things that Trump is pushing the hardest. He's now pushing for 6G. 5G hasn't even killed the amount of people it's going to kill yet, and he's already pushing for 6G. Trump still has not fired the CIA director or the FBI director.
Yes, we may see that in the coming weeks.
Right. There was no landslide for Trump. What there was a landslide on Americans, their jobs, their lives, their futures, their children's lives. The landslide that destroyed the future of most Americans. The election, I call it a selection, is it's a distraction to keep your eyes off of the vaccines that are going to be rolled out by the military with weaponry, maybe even at gunpoint. We're going to be assaulted by our own military, and Trump is also responsible for that because of Operation Warp Speed. What do you have to say about those things?
Well, first of all, it's not yet confirmed that the mandatory will be that the vaccine will be mandatory. The use of U.S. troops to enforce it is a violation of posse comitatus, and I think a lot of people are just going to resist and refuse. Like I said, I would not even consider getting the vaccine until at least 6 months after it went into general distribution because of what happened back in 1976 with the swine flu vaccine. Now, I'm very disappointed in Trump. I worked very hard to keep Hillary out of the Oval Office in 2016. Trump has been a disappointment. I will agree with you on that. But looking at the agenda that is emerging from Biden's transition team, they're going to pull this country. Again, they're openly admitting they want a socialist America. They want a communist America. And I'm definitely opposed to that.
I am too. But did you hear that Biden is going to put Hillary in charge of the UN, which then the defund the police comes in and the police go away. They bring in UN troops under Hillary. Now, if Trump had done what he said and put Hillary away, Hillary couldn't be in control of the UN troops.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But I think a deal was made where Trump told Hillary, don't contest the results of the election and you will not be arrested. And I think that was the deal that was made there. And by the way, Biden is planning on making Hillary the United States ambassador to the United Nations, which is a far cry from putting her in charge of it. Okay?
Okay, that's true. But the UN troops, their job will be to disarm Americans, and they will also help with the forced vaccinations, and they'll probably bring mostly UN troops from the UN. I mean, the Chinese troops, and they don't like Americans. They'll be very brutal with us. There's also some camps up in Canada now that are manned by Chinese troops, and those are going to be used to put dissenters, gun owners, and people that don't want to take vaccines in concentration camps. Did you know about that?
Well, I've heard this story, but it's been contradicted by a lot of other people. Anyway, Jeff, we're getting short on time, and I got a bunch of calls to get through, so thank you very much. We're going to switch over to Kevin in West Virginia. Hello, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mr. Mike. I have a couple of things that are on my mind. The first thing that I want to talk to you about real quickly is Hammer, H-A-M-R. I'm curious to know how many people have heard of the name of Dennis Montgomery, who was the creator of Hammer. Hammer is a surveillance. Hammer is a surveillance tool that was wrote after 9/11 back in 2002, 2003. Hammer and Scorecard go together. Scorecard being like an application on your cell phone to use. They used Scorecard the night of the election. You've seen it done in real time when they froze the election results that on November 3rd. You've seen Scorecard. You've seen it in real time, and they had to freeze everything because the landslide for Trump was so huge they could not steal it. So what they did was clone blocks of Joe Biden votes, and you do this at the transfer points when it hits the quote-unquote internet. They cloned these blocks of, I think it was 112,000 at a time over 10 states. That is the algorithm that Sidney Powell is saying that she found, was the cloned Joe Biden blocks of votes is what it is. So Hammer, going back to Hammer, was a super weapon that the United States came up with, surveillance. And if most people, if people would actually, the CIA created it. John Brennan is tied into this because if the people actually know that he quote unquote commandeered, you could actually say stole the super weapon and unleashed it on the people. So we talk about the coup d'etat this election. Not only is this a coup d'etat against Trump, but it's to cover up their tracks with Hammer. Dennis Montgomery wrote Hammer. Not only did he write it, but he was supplied the computers by none other than Special Counsel Robert Mueller. It all ties in with Joe Biden and seaports. And I'm sure you've heard about these ports. One in Wilmington, Delaware, ties into the Chinese owning these ports and having quote unquote Club K car, which is a weapon system, missiles in a box, if you will. This all ties together, and why this coup is actually happening. See, it's deeper than just Donald Trump was an outsider. It's covering up their crimes. This is what all this is all about, covering up what they've done. They've sold the United States out to the communists. They sold them out to all of these things, all of these other, places, what you will. But if people would just do their due diligence, look up Dennis Montgomery, look up Hammer, look up what this is, what has happened and transpired with these ports off of Wilmington, Delaware, and all the way down to Florida. They have us surrounded with these box missile systems. I mean, all of this is public. People can go and look this up and research it. But when you run across,
Well, you need to be careful because there's a lot of false stuff being poured onto the internet in an attempt to make it look like we're unreliable compared to the corporate media, although that's going to take a great deal of work to accomplish. Anyway, Kevin, we're getting short on time, and I got a bunch of calls to get through. Thank you very much for the call, and we're going to switch over to Brother Glover in Virginia. Hello, brother. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Okay, we lost him. Let's go to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Aloha. Good to hear Kevin from West Virginia. I'm glad he called in. I wish he'd call in more often. He's very informative. Colin, Kevin. But, yeah, and to the other call for Georgia, he was pretty much right on, too. This is 1860 here, Mike, what's going on. But, here in the Miami Herald, and they were talking on the radio show here today and this morning, this thing that's going on with these computers was actually designed in Venezuela by some technician in Venezuela, and he's working for George Soros. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that, and now they've turned it against America.
Yeah, and now the Herald, even this guy Mudd here on South Florida show was talking about this algorithm and all this crap is coming out of Venezuela. I'm like, what? And the way he was explaining it, I guess that, Soros is paying, these billionaires are all behind this. It's a billionaire elite club that is paying to steal this election from Trump. Because, Mike, I want to bring this to your attention, to that other caller. All these illegal aliens that are coming here, they're the first ones that should be inoculated with this new vaccine that Trump wants to pump out. You got 9 million Californians illegally in that state. Take that vaccine and put them in them. And if you want to think you're going to come into this country, you're going to get vaccinated right there by the military on the border. And everyone that sneaks in is going to get they catch whoever they catch. You vaccinate them with the vaccine, see if it works, then you send them back to Mexico and to Central America and see how long it lasts. Okay? And if they're good, they can stand in line and apply for citizenship in their home country, and we'll see how this vaccine will work out instead of putting on the American public first. Let them do it from here over there with these illegals.
Tom, I got to put you on hold. Got to take another break for commercial. We'll be back with Tom after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly,
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone.
And welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program this Thursday, and we're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. And Tom, just pick up where you left off.
Yes, Michael. I do believe today's bumbling Biden's birthday today. Is that correct? He's 78 years old today?
Yes, I think so.
Bumbling Biden just turned 78 today, I believe. This guy, if he ever gives a inaugural address, he'll have to read from a teleprompter. He'll never be ad-libbed. I mean, this guy's nuts. Camilla will probably get that job within 2 years. You can bet on that. They're grooming her already, probably within a year or so to take that presidency. If
I agree.
Biden does get in, I don't think he'll make it. I think Trump's going to probably maybe pull this out by the skin of his teeth. He might pull this thing out. Who knows? With the Supreme Court.
I certainly hope he does.
He just pray for that. Yeah, we do too. And but Mike, getting back to Venezuela, with the thievery they did over there.
Yes.
And Soros and all these billionaires, you still got these Steyers. You got Bloomberg, Soros. You got all these schmucks, and some, like Gates and all that. They're all trying to promote the Democrat Party to win everything. That's exactly what they want. Okay, and it's what's going on in Georgia. I have a feeling, Mike, they're going to try to steal one of those Senate seats, but they know if they take two, there'll be anarchy in the country. There'll be civil war, like the one caller for Georgia said. They're going to probably make it so close that it's 51-49. That's what they're going to do, Mike. You watch. They're going to rig this like they did this presidential election. They're going to try to rig this Senate race. Even though both Republicans will probably win, one of them may lose. So I'm just throwing that out there, Mike, before it happens. But if they were to win both of those seats, I think it would be all out anarchy, all out civil war. No question about it. This country can't absorb all these illegal immigrants and this horde, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we can't deal with this
it does
anymore,
feel
man.
like we're
I know too many Americans. Yeah,
it does feel like we're approaching a breaking point. And again, I've been suggesting for years that the United States may end in a Soviet Union-style collapse, and it almost feels like we're heading into that right now, especially with this push for socialism. Anyway, listen, Tom, I'm going to let you
Mike,
go.
I got to tell you one thing. There's a lot of fighter planes flying over at Homestead Air Force Base that I haven't heard before at this time of the year. I mean, it seems like every day now the fighters are flying by. It seems like they're not even that high up in the air. I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on at the Air Force Base, I guess, over here down in South Florida. So I don't know. It's a lot of weird stuff going on, Mike, but we'll see how it turns out. I know you got another call. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot. Real quick, Miles in Maine. We're almost at the end of the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, I got to disagree with Tom there. The first ones I want to see inoculated is the Congress and Senate.
I would agree with that one. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, Michael. To me, it looks like Trump's been picking up ground. Can you I'll let you go, but can you kind of comment on that?
Well, I'm not privy to the inner machinations of his legal teams, But certainly, we're seeing a lot of people come forward, including Democrats, willing to sign affidavits saying that they witnessed all kinds of skullduggery with the election. And I think that if Trump can get this into the Supreme Court.
How about on the recounts?
They're cheating on the recounts. Georgia cheated on the recount. They basically were told, use the vote totals from election night instead of actually doing the recount. That came through today. Anyway, listen, we got to let you go.
That should be a crime.
Yeah,
Thanks, Michael.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of things to share with you. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It has never been more important that you do so. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.